Hello, I'm Dan Naylor. I'm an online PhD student at Liberty in HIUS 713. It's June 2026. Welcome aboard. As we go on a railroad journey, describing, illustrating, and analyzing one person's experience in the post-bellum economy. That one person is Cornelius Vanderbilt, 1794 to 1877. So his productive years were firmly in the wheelhouse of the postbellum era, or should I say the cab of that era. He was known for railroads. The model train is a fitting illustration representing Vanderbilt and the people who worked for him. It would be even more fitting if it were life-size and extended thousands of miles in every direction. Trains and ships run by Vanderbilt and others supported the huge demographic shift west. Railroads were high-tech, bridges, signaling. It was the Silicon Valley of the day. Sadly, many skilled staff were killed on the job. Vanderbilt himself came from a Dutch immigrant family farming stock in New York City. Unlike Winston Churchill, he wasn't an aristocrat. He wasn't a Virginia aristocrat like Jefferson. He didn't marry money like Washington, and he wasn't an aristocrat by way of education like Woodrow Wilson. School ended at age 11, and then he bought a ferry, a sailboat, through his own savings with a loan from his modest parents. So what were we saying about child labor? Time is too short for a blow-by-blow of his career. He moved from sail to steam, just as steamboats were at their inception in New York. So you have the confluence of water transport and population. Vanderbilt's holdings expanded with the growth of the industry. Some would say he was a first adopter, risk. He had associated with clever people such as Thomas Gibbon, who used the courts to break a New York monopoly in steamboats. Vanderbilt moved his expertise from shipping into railroads, making him really a logistician rather than a mere railroad principal, and he was active in creating a far-flung railroad empire using horizontal integration. Vanderbilt's methods were very much a validation, frankly, of Garrett Hardin's theory in The Tragedy of the Commons reading, where when different species live in a shared environment and use similar resources, one species will tend to drive out the others, and indeed he drove out the others. So Vanderbilt would be a fan of Garrett Hardin, not Eleanor and Vincent Ostrom. Dr. Roberts said the entrepreneur, like Vanderbilt, has the ability to move things, in case tangible objects and ideas, across multiple social boundaries. Dr. Roberts, near the end of this module's video, said the process of industrialization improves the lives of human beings, and so he did. He also, Dr. Roberts said, humans in the 20th century live at a level that is far superior to any other human being in human history. Just a minute. Though it seems Dr. Roberts and the course may be overlooking a part of the broader picture. The post-bellum era did see massive improvements in the standard of living in the United States and in the Anglosphere nations, but many nations were struck by what Mike Davis refers to as the late Victorian famines from the 1870s to the 1900s. Please see my primary sources on this topic. Repeated famines were common in China and India, but also Brazil, India, the Philippines, and many other places, including Europe. The additional burdens of cholera, smallpox, debilitating fevers, and bubonic plague were very much there during these times. Americans did not know about these disasters because Americans were looking inward at the Long Depression, foreclosures, and the collapse of crop prices mentioned by Dan Bum, and the intensive gold-silver debate covered so thoroughly by Friedman. I don't want to sound like a Pollyanna, as though the difficulties in the United States were trivial, particularly for Black people under Jim Crow. However, at this stage and in the years that followed, America performed extremely well. America surged ahead in prosperity, measured in comparative GDP, while beyond its borders, millions across the postbellum world were dying from waves of disease and hunger. Most accounts of Vanderbilt would end here mentioning he had a net worth of such and such when he died, but that's irrelevant. Organizers and financiers like Vanderbilt made the United States into a prosperous, developed country. Thank you. I will see you next time.